Hey guys, it's AG.Ashker1904 and I'm here with another video. This time I am showing my entire doll collection, so this is the classic all my dolls video. As of July 2022, I have 25 dolls in my collection. 18 of them are mine and the other 7 are honorary dolls that I inherited from a friend and a sister. So I love watching these videos on AGTube and I'm really excited to finally be doing my own. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first doll in my collection is Samantha Parkington. I got her in June of 2008 at the American Girl Place Chicago. I was 11 years old and had literally saved up $300 from multiple birthdays and multiple Christmases to be able to get Samantha and part of her collection. My family was going on a trip to Chicago, so we thought it was the perfect opportunity for me and my sister to go to the American Girl store for the first time and get our first doll. From the very beginning, Samantha has always been my very favorite character. I loved her books, I loved her movie. And it was such a magical time to be able to go to the store and actually take her out and, hoard all the boxes in the bag and then be like, oh, I'm getting all this stuff. Sure, my dad was absolutely appalled at a little 11-year-old Ashley running around in this extremely expensive store with boxes taller than her. And I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm ready to check out. Not only do I love Samantha's character, but I connect with her really well because she was my very first doll that I ever got. So she'll always have a really special place in my heart. The second doll in my collection really came as a surprise. Her name is Olivia. I received her secondhand in the fall of 2008. She's a Just Like You 3 that was purchased anywhere from 1998 to 2000. So story is that I came out from school one day, I was going to Girl Scouts, and my mom was like, hey, I have a surprise for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is it? She's like, okay, well, it's not anything brand new. And it was an American Girl doll. So she was in line at the bank, and it was either the bank teller or the person ahead of her. And they were on the phone or whatever, and they were like, oh yeah, I have to throw away this American Girl doll. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, why are you throwing away an American Girl doll? Of course, the lady was like, well, because my daughter chopped her hair off when she was little and she's in really bad condition. Why do you want her? And my mother was like, obviously I want her. So here's again 11-year-old Ashley. I literally only had Samantha for a few months and my mom hands me this doll in a trash bag, completely she had naked. She had a couple bits of clothes from her original meat outfit, hair all chopped up, and I'm like, she's perfect. I love her. She was the first doll that I received secondhand, but I loved her just as much as I had gotten her, firsthand from the store. She got the name Olivia because I had my mom pick it out. I remember looking through the American Girl website under Samantha's World, and it was showing popular names from back then and then now. And one of the names on the now list was Olivia, and my mom was like, oh, that's a really cool name, and therefore she became Olivia. Olivia was basically just me as a kid. She was very hyper, very crazy, clumsy. She loved food. She was the comic relief. Very different than Samantha, but it was a very good contrast. Olivia is so special to me, not only because I got to create her personality myself, but because I gave her a second chance of life. She really would have been thrown away in the garbage. And I rescued her, and she's, super wonderful doll. The third doll in my collection is Nellie O'Malley. I received her for Christmas in 2008. I was so absolutely lucky to get Nellie when I did, because at the time it was announced that her and Samantha's collection would soon be retiring, and I was so absolutely nervous that I wouldn't get all her stuff. I remember my mom always saying when we went to Chicago for the first time and I got Samantha, she was like, why don't you get Nellie too? And I'm like, well, Nellie's not really in my budget right now because there's a lot of Samantha stuff that I wanted to get. And it all worked out in the end because I got her for Christmas. And it was from that point on that Samantha and Nellie were obviously inseparable. And Olivia was obviously always there, making jokes and being goofy. And those were my 3 dolls for a while. They were my 3 musketeers. They, were a trio. They did everything together. The fourth doll in my collection is Kanani Akina. I received it for my birthday on April 2nd, 2011. Kanani was my very first Girl of the Year doll that I really wanted. I remember me and my mom looking through the brand new catalog at the start of the year, seeing Kanani's gorgeous, beautiful long hair, and we're like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. My mom's like, you should get her. And I was a little hesitant about getting Girl of the Years because I honestly kind of thought I would just collect historical characters because I love history so much as a kid. But clearly Kanani was worth it. She really hit different. I absolutely love her long hair and the fact that she's Hawaiian and part Japanese. She's just such a beautiful and unique doll, and I'm so grateful to have her in my collection. Because nowadays she is kind of like a rare, really, covenant doll that a lot of people really like. And you'll soon see that Kanani kind of kickstarted my Girl of the Year collection. I kind of went through a Girl of the Year phase, so she was kind of the first doll that started it all. So the fifth doll in my collection is McKenna Brooks. I received her for my birthday in 2012. McKenna honestly kind of felt like a rush decision. Like my mom was like, oh, what doll do you want for your birthday? And I was like, well, I guess McKenna's really pretty. I feel like lots of people, not that they talked me into it, but she wasn't really a doll that I feel like I would have gravitated towards at first. I'm not a gymnast, I'm not a sporty person, so I couldn't really relate to her stories in that way. But I kind of bonded with her more for the fact that she did struggle in school and she had to get a tutor. And throughout my life I did have to be tutored a lot, which, was kind of embarrassing. So I could relate to McKenna in that sense. And then her movie came out, which obviously was super cool. It was like a family favorite that my family just watched like all the time. My sister was especially in love with Josie because she was in a wheelchair and my sister was in a wheelchair. So we kind of bonded over that. I always repeated like the blue skies in, blue skies out when I was nervous or anxious, and so did my sister. And y'all remember I Hate Tuesday, the song that they sing at the end? That was like the funniest thing ever to me as a kid. I love that song. My family was constantly singing that We Hate Tuesday. But overall, I am really glad that I have McKenna in my collection. I love how unique she is because she doesn't have a part in her hair. It was like a really pretty color. I don't really have a lot of dolls that have that kind of color hair. Most of my dolls have like darker hair. Like she was a doll that I wasn't afraid to mess with her hair, play with her hair, and try different hairstyles on. She always kept that little braided headband on. That is not her real hair. That is a braided headband that American Girl made back in the day when they started making like the clip-on bangs and the little clip-on like colored extensions. And yes, she was a wonderful addition to the doll family. So the sixth doll in my collection, which is the last doll from my childhood, was Sage Copeland, and I received it for my birthday on April 2nd, 2013. I was 16 years old, and at this point a lot of my friends had, stopped being into American Girl, stopped playing American Girl, and I was kind of by myself. Obviously, my sister still had American Girl dolls, but she was more a Barbie collector, so she didn't really play with me as much. I did have this younger friend who I had met through this American Girl club that I can talk about in another video, who still played American Girl dolls with me. Kind of like a rough point in my childhood, in my youth. I had always thought that McKenna would kind of be my last doll, and I know for my birthday, my mom was like, well, are you sure you want to get American Girl doll stuff? She never came out and said, hey, you're getting old for this, but, kind of insinuated it, and feeling a little bit insecure about it because I didn't know anyone my age that, was still into American Girl dolls. But I knew the minute that I got the catalog and saw Sage, I was like, okay, no, I want her for my birthday. I think I really want this American Girl doll. Not only was she so pretty with her red hair and her freckles, but her main selling point for me was because she was an artist, which art has always been a huge part of my life, so I very much connected with Sage that way. And so for about another year or so, I was really into American Girl dolls. I was still playing with them, still dressing them, doing everything I would normally do, but I was getting more and more insecure that, I was 17 years old and I still really liked American Girl dolls. And I guess I thought at one point, like, oh, well, you know, I'm in high school. I guess maybe I am too old for these dolls. And I kind of told myself that I shouldn't really be playing with them anymore and packed them away. Luckily, I never got rid of anything. I saved everything from my childhood. But it's, you know, kind of sad to think about that, you know, 17-year-old Ashley was embarrassed to, you know, be passionate about something that really made her happy. And that's the thing that I love about, you know, discovering AGIG and AGTube is that there are so many people my age that love American Girl, that have always loved American Girl, that never stopped loving American Girl. It just makes me super happy to be a part of the community nowadays and still be collecting at age 25. So fast forward 7 years later, I'd always still been in tune with American Girl doll, you know, once in a while looking at the website, once in a while getting a catalog, you know, still seeing the movies come out and the books come out and stuff. But again, it wasn't until I discovered like AGTube and adult doll collectors and AGIG that I was like, wait a minute, there's adults that like American Girl dolls? This is a gold mine here. Okay, hold on. And that kind of ignited my passion again for American Girl dolls. And so on August 26th, 2021, I basically got a Kit Kittredge doll from an online auction. I saw this auction site that was auctioning off a bunch of American Girl doll stuff for, you know, really good prices and very few bids on it. And I was like, oh, you know, maybe this will be a cool thing. I'll be able to get a lot of cool American Girl doll stuff. Yeah, that did not happen. It sold out super quickly. We were constantly outbid, and I was on a walk really late at night, and the bidding price for Kit just slowly kept going up, and then I slowly kept increasing, and then eventually it said, oh, you won, and I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I just won. Oh my gosh. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but, you know, it was super well worth it because I absolutely love Kit. I've always loved Kit ever since I was a kid. We're both writers. I loved her time period she was from. And my sister had Ruthie growing up, so it was kind of cool that I was like, oh, you know, well, now we have, you know, the best friend collection. So yeah, Kit kind of holds a really special place in my heart because she was the first doll that I got with my adult money and as an adult doll collector. Eighth doll in my collection is Addie Walker. I got her on September 3rd, 2021. And this was a dream doll. I had always wanted Addie when I was a kid. Honestly, like I was, you know, debating against Samantha and Addie. And, you know, obviously I got Samantha. She was my first doll. And I don't know why I just never got Addie as a kid. I think by the time I would have got her, I was in my girl of the year phase. So I just, you know, never really got around to it. And, you know, now that I was an adult and have adult money, I was like, well, I can just order Addie randomly online. And I did. Honestly, you know, dream doll. I'm so blessed to have her in my collection. I know the Be Forever Addie is a little bit different than the original Addie, like, because I know their face mold changed a tiny bit, but I still think she's so beautiful. I love her hair, even though it's, like, not as textured as it, you know, used to be. But I've always loved Addie's stories. And she's just such a beautiful doll. I remember I really wanted to take her to the American Girl store in Columbus, and she wasn't going to get here until after I went to the store. And I was like, darn it, oh well, I guess I'll just take another doll to the store. And then, because American Girl ships like so fast. I don't know how they do it, but they get their packages out so quickly. And I received Addie like a couple days early. So I was able to take her to the store, and it was such a wonderful experience. You know, here I was, you know, 24-year-old, just walking around with Addie at the American Girl store. Honestly, dream come true. So wonderful. Well, Ashley would have been so proud. So I'm just so grateful that I have Addie in my collection after all these years. The ninth doll in my collection is Wade. I got him on October 6th, 2021. He is a Julie doll base that I got secondhand from at cupoftea.ag. She was selling this doll, and it was a doll that she originally used as a boy doll, and she was selling it for a really good price. So I was like, yes, I'll just buy him a different wig instead of buying, like, you know, an actual boy doll that's, you know, more expensive from the store. Because as a kid, there was no American Girl doll boys.
we just had the girl dolls. And, you know, coming back as an adult collector, I was like, wow, that's so cool that they, you know, actually make boy dolls nowadays. So the neat thing about this doll is that it is inspired by my best friend Trevor. His middle name is Wade, so that's where I kind of got the name from. They both have brown hair, glasses. They both like only wear sweatshirts and, you know, sweatpants and like video games. It's very chill individuals. I asked my friend beforehand, I was like, hey, is this weird? But if I made an American Girl doll inspired by you, like can I do that? Like, do I have your permission to do this? Because the thing is, I met him when I was 19, so it was obviously after the fact that I had stopped collecting American Girl dolls. But we always joke saying that we've known each other our entire lives. And I always told him, you know, if we knew each other as kids, you would have had to play American Girl dolls with me. Like, there was no question about it. And he totally would have too. That's the thing I love about him. So Wade is super special to me because obviously it reminds me of my best friend. And he was my very first boy doll. So very lucky to have him in my collection. And I hope one day to have, you know, more boy dolls in my collection. Kind of expand the dollhouse family. The 10th doll in my collection is a WinnieWisher doll, who she's a Willa doll, but I made her into Bridget O'Malley, so it is Nellie's sister and Samantha's adopted sister. I thought it was so cute. When I figured out that WinnieWishers were a thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I totally want them. They're so cute, and I could use them as like the little sisters of the American Girl dolls. Again, like I wanted like the entire family. As a kid, I did have little dolls that were like Disney baby dolls, or like toddlers that I used as Bridget and Jenny. One was a Belle doll because she had dark hair, and the other was a Cinderella doll because she had blonde hair. And I would always pretend that they were Bridget and Jenny, even though they weren't actual American Girl dolls. So I got Bridget, and I got another doll to be Jenny at the same time. I had a lot of like reward points saved up, so I literally did not spend like any money on it at all. It was really nice. It's such a dream come true to have Samantha and Nellie have their little sisters, so whenever I do photo shoots and stuff, they are usually in them. Real dream come true, real full circle moment to finally have dolls that I can say are Bridget and Jenny O'Malley. So as you can guess, the next doll in my collection is Jenny O'Malley. I got her the same time I got Bridget, which was in November of 2021. She is a Camille WinnieWisher doll, and she's so perfect as Bridget. I know in the illustrations, Bridget and Jenny kind of had like darker hair and like a strawberry blonde hair. I kind of went more off the movie. I thought that would I'd best be able to match them doll-wise. And I know some people don't really count WinnieWishers in their collection because they're not actual American Girl dolls, but I still count them in the collection, you know, because they're very important, part of the dollhouse, part of the family. So the 12th doll on my list is Emiko. She is a kind of a custom doll, I guess you'd say. I got her on November 27th, 2021, and she is an old Jess McConnell doll that I got secondhand off a Facebook Market seller. She's inspired by my grandma, who was born in Japan and then moved to America when she was 18, when she married my papa. My grandma was my best friend, so I really wanted to have a doll to kind of like be a memorial to her. And that way I can like have pictures, use her in pictures and stuff like that. And I tried curling her hair, but it kind of fell, so I'm gonna have to recurl it again because my grandma had really curly hair. But I love having dolls that like are inspired by like real people in my life. I'm so grateful for this seller who was so nice and kind to like go out of her way to drive closer to us so we were able to pick her up, and she was in such good condition too. Like, I'm really lucky to have found her when I did, and she's such a beautiful doll to add to my ever-growing collection.